Hello and welcome to My Artist Friend, hosted by me, Becky Helms. Today is my first interview, and I'm so excited. I would like to introduce you to my artist friend and best friend, Libby of LuxCups Creative. She had to be my first episode. I just could not live with myself if she wasn't. We met doing shows in Austin. She lived in Houston at the time. And then she and her husband, who also runs the business with her, John, hi John, they moved over to Austin, and we tried to make a concerted effort to get together at least once a week just to hang out. If you're familiar with my YouTube channel at all, you'll know that we've done a couple of videos a few years ago. They're really fun. She's got a great one on how to travel to shows, like how to pack, how to fly with product, all kinds of stuff. There's really good stuff in that episode, so you should definitely check that out. But actually, missing her has been kind of the impetus for this entire podcast, because seeing her once a week, being able to talk shop, talk life, it was just so good. Because as artists, I'm sure you know, if you have a shop of your own, or you can just imagine that when you're in your house creating by yourself, you're kind of in a vacuum. And social media is great, but seeing a friend face to face who understands what you're going through is incredible. So I wanted to kind of recreate that feeling here on the podcast. So we'll have lots of interviews later. I've talked to lots of amazing people, but had to be Libby first. And yeah, let's get into the interview. Hi, Libby.
Hi, Becky.
We've been having some technical problems, and I'm really glad that it happened with you and no one else.
I'm fine to wait.
I love it, and I love you. Dear listeners, if you don't know, this is Libby of LuxCups. I just did an intro that I have not recorded yet, and she is my BFF, and I'm excited to talk to you today.
It's going to be good.
It's going to be so good. Okay, first question. I would just love to know about the origins of LuxCups and how it's kind of evolved, because I know both of us started in a very different place than we ended up.
Yes. Yeah. Also, I think our name, we get this question fairly often. So, because everyone thinks we make cups. We don't. I mean, not yet. I don't know. I'll rule it out.
You can.
Yeah. Maybe we should, just so people stop asking.
Right. Yeah. It's because of these.
Yeah. This is it. Bye. So I'd say probably it's been forever now. I don't know, 15, 16 years ago.
Oh my gosh.
I started making, I thought what I wanted to do, I thought my calling, if that exists, was to make cupcakes.
I love it.
Also, when I was a kid, I wanted to be a cake decorator when I grew up. So I was like, all right, yeah, I'm going to live now. So I did start making cupcakes in my kitchen at home and selling them to friends and bringing them to parties. That went fine. And then I realized I kind of only like decorating. I mean, the baking's fine, but it just takes so much time.
Yeah.
Things go wrong. So eventually, I kind of shifted to also selling some like art on Etsy, like, hand drawn, painted stuff. And I'd like photograph it and make cards out of it.
Nice.
And we started doing some kind of like pop-up markets, or like at a friend's house, they would have like, hey, here's some small artists, some support.
I love that.
Yeah. And then that actually started making more money for the amount of effort.
That's truly finding the balance between the effort and the income.
Yeah. And then I was like, okay, at this point I could change the name, but can I tell you, finding a URL and social and everything that is the name that is not taken already is difficult. And I had already done all that. So I kept it.
I love it. I think it's so fun to say, and I mean, it's a conversation starter, if you can get someone's attention for a hot second and be like, yeah, this is what it was, now buy something that I do sell now.
Yeah, and I think in the beginning I was kind of ashamed of it because it was
Mm,
like, oh, I was being kind of like flighty from switching from one thing to another.
mm.
Um, but now it doesn't really matter because
Yeah.
this has been happening longer than the cupcake stuff, so it
Yeah.
worked out. It's fine.
I think it's fine. I think it's totally fine to not niche down too. Cause like, there's been a conversation that I've had with a few people already is just like the follow the energy. Like if something's making you really happy and it's, you want to change what you're doing, like, that's okay. Like, you're not going to get in trouble. Like, no one's going to be mad.
Unless it is just naps.
If it's just napping, and you are very good at napping, if
We're
only
over.
we could monetize napping.
Look, if anyone has any ideas on how I can make that happen, I am that person.
Please
That's
write
what I
in
was made for.
to the podcast.
Yes, yes. All your subscribers.
Yes, please, everyone. We need to crowdsource this new venture.
It'd be great. I could do something else.
Yeah,
In addition.
yeah. I still call it Love Cups.
Yeah, that'd be a little harder of a transition. It was
That's
fine.
true.
It's fine.
I love your name, and I think it's fun, and I think it's cool that you kept it. It's like stayed with you through the evolution of it all.
Yeah. I mean, the logo's changed for
Yeah,
sure.
we're also designers, so that is the never-ending desire to change your logo and branding an entire website. It's like
Yeah. Yeah.
it's a
Exactly.
problem.
I did the website this year already, so it's fine.
Yeah,
It's
it
gonna be good for
looks.
another 2 months.
It's so good. It's so pretty.
It looks much better than it used to. We just recently moved to Shopify, which was a huge learning curve because
Hmm.
before we were on Squarespace.
Hmm.
So it
Yeah.
worked for a while,
Yeah,
but
I think they're both good for different things. But I am a big. I bugged you for years to get under Shopify. I feel like.
well, yeah, and I was really worried about the cost difference. Yes, there
Yeah.
is a cost difference, but can I tell you, I was paying for like email campaigns through Squarespace,
Hmm.
as well as like the regular kind of like keep my domain and
Yeah.
like paying for the service.
Hmm.
And when I switched over to Shopify, I don't send that many emails to
Yeah.
begin with. Probably not so great on my part, but now when we moved over, it was about the same because they include some email sends in
Yeah.
the subscription.
Yeah, they have like their stuff is pretty minimal, but there are some like extra apps too that are less expensive. And Squarespace does add on a lot of little things because I'm using them now and I like it just for my main website. But if I was gonna sell anything again, like I would still do it on Shopify, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was pleasantly surprised.
Ooh.
But then there's all these plugins, so then that's, it all
I,
adds up
the
eventually.
amount of things after I closed my shop that I should have been better at keeping track of my finances. I will say that's on me, but there were so many apps that I had going that were all fun and great and made me money, but there's a lot. You can go ham on Shopify for sure.
Yeah, I try to like think about it. I'm like, do I need this? I'm gonna reuse this
Yeah.
and need it for months.
Yeah. And yeah, I can get lost in their little app thing, comparing and contrasting and seeing, ooh, who's better? Which one looks better? Which one?
Seriously,
It's fun to
there's a lot
do.
of choices.
Yeah. But do you like it over there now? Are you feeling more comfortable with it and seeing results and
Yeah.
things?
Well, I will say, so this sounds very strange. Maybe it doesn't. The reason we really moved was because of the coupons that they allow people to use, like discount
Yeah.
codes.
Yeah.
Because on Squarespace, I found that like the discount codes were like very straightforward,
Mhm.
which for a while was fine. But we do like bundle, get like we'll say like, oh, if you purchase this many earrings, you'll get this discount, and
Mhm.
essentially like a tiered kind of discount program.
Yeah.
And I couldn't do that on Squarespace, but I
Yeah.
could do it, and I can do it on Shopify.
Yeah, even Shopify's like default like discounts and things have gotten a lot beefier because I used an app that did different like tiers and bundles and you could do all kinds of stuff with it. But I
Yeah,
think they released, was it last year before? I forget, but they really like beefed up their discount stuff.
yeah. So we moved over there for that
Yeah.
primarily. um,
Not because I was hounding you.
well, yeah. I mean, there was a little birdie going, "This is better." This is you, in case you're wondering.
That's me.
Um, so yeah, we moved. It worked. It was a lot of effort.
Yeah.
A lot
I'm
of effort
sorry.
to move. Yeah, I mean, you left that part out.
Well,
Uh, so when we moved, it was great because we're also able to say, like, before we had a discount code that was like, if you purchase $50 worth of merchandise, enter the code, you get a discount, you can get free shipping.
mhm.
We still have that on our Shopify site now, but we also have the little like countdown at the top of
Yes.
the cart, and it's like
Yes.
if you spend $10 more, you're eligible for free shipping.
That thing's
Um,
awesome.
And can I tell you, like the value, like the average cart
Mhm.
is significantly higher now
Yeah.
because and it's not always over 50. So maybe it's just the layout of the new site, maybe it's like the filtering we put in place, who knows,
Mhm.
but that I'm confident that little like spend this much more,
Yeah.
get free shipping in the cart made a huge
It
difference.
makes it makes a huge difference just for people visualizing because they might, as they were shopping, just forgotten that there's, a discount for that, and then they get to it, they see their total and go, "Oh, all right," and then they can add more. I always found a huge, like I always had one of those going because as soon as I found it, it made such a big difference. And
Yeah,
yeah,
I was surprised how
yeah.
much of a difference it made.
Yeah, just the visualization is awesome. And like, who doesn't want free shipping?
I
Like,
mean,
yeah,
if you were gonna only like $3 away and
yeah,
shipping's like $8, come on.
yeah. Please, it's a deal. Doing you a
Yeah.
favor. Yeah, I
Like what?
love those things. And I would do like the tiered, like buy X get 10%, buy X get 15, and then get 20. That was like my favorite thing to kind of have running during the holidays. And it would have a little visual up there too for that. That's awesome.
Yeah. More options. It is
Yeah.
more complex, but
But I think it's a win-win.
exactly.
I'm glad you're liking it. I'm a huge fan. We're a Shopify Stan account.
Seriously.
Yeah, they're
Oh, and
fantastic.
we didn't get the most expensive one. I was thinking I needed that.
No,
So we're in like
no.
that kind of like mid tier, not the
Yeah,
cheapest, but right
yeah.
above that.
I like that mid tier because that also gives you more analytics. And I loved looking through like all the granular analytics of things and, just seeing the best, the stuff that's selling the most and you don't even realize because you're like day to day, like you're shipping out your stuff and you might have helpers like you do. You might not really know kind of what's going out. So I love being able to see like what was selling the best
You would.
and where I loved it. And where people came from and like,
Oh,
yeah,
I do like that.
yeah, I think it's really fun.
I do like clicking on the thing as like live visitors. I'm like, ooh,
Yes.
where are
Oh
they?
my gosh, especially when you have like a big release and you can click on the globe and see all the people around the world shopping and you're like, "Oh, I'm not just alone in this room by
Fair.
myself. There are people that can see what I'm doing."
Totally fair.
I love it. I love it so
Yeah,
much.
it's
So,
working.
yeah, another thing I wanted to talk to you about because This is a big deal, and a lot of people have a lot of questions. I took a course about it a while ago and decided it probably wasn't for me. It's trade shows.
Oh, I thought
So
you were gonna do like base jumping or something.
it's
I don't
really
do base
no, we're not base jumpers over here. Because you and John, your husband, work on the business together. And I think that's amazing. And you guys have done trade shows for a few years now. And I was curious, like, what made you really want to dive into that world and kind of what it's been like as a learning curve? Because you've done quite a few now, like all over the country. So I would love to know more about
Yeah.
that.
Why did we start doing it? That's a great
You're like, no,
question.
genuinely, why am I doing this?
Oh, I do remember Lauren from the Burlap Bag. She was doing something called Pool, which is like kind of like emerging brands, emerging artists, and it's part of like the Las Vegas Magic Trade Show, which is kind of fashion based for the most part, or at least where we were. And that was a good kind of entry point because you didn't get a full booth, which sounds like a terrible thing, but if you're just starting out, is a lot less stressful.
Yeah, booths are expensive and a lot of work.
Yes. Yeah, and like having to think of like how you're gonna lay it out, how it's gonna flow, all of that.
Yeah.
So it removed that, which was nice. And so we did that for a couple years, and we saw that we were meeting people that would never even know we existed. Not to say it was like Disney or anything huge like that, but you know, some of them are in Canada.
Yeah.
Like we don't necessarily overlap in a way that they would have found us at that point and purchased from us. So that was kind of an eye-opening experience. Like, oh, there are people who attend these things that do not overlap with us, and we won't get in front if we don't do these things.
Yeah.
Yeah. So fairs kind of changed that a little, but now we do fair and trade shows.
Yeah. And you think it's a good thing to have both of them, not rely on like one more heavily than the other, like kind of split.
I mean, fair's kind of like what you upload things, you ship the orders, you upload new things, you ship the orders.
Yeah.
I mean, kind of like Etsy, where you don't you don't have to do like necessarily like a ton of maintenance with it.
Yeah, it's definitely more passive because you can't reach out to anyone really on fair in like a marketing kind of way unless they find you first and then you get their email and then you can send stuff. But yeah, you can't. It's not like shops can look for makers, but makers can't look for shops.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, people find us on there and order from us. Or what we do here on a regular basis when we're at these shows is like, oh, I was looking at your stuff on Fair. And so now they're able to like pick it up, touch it, ask questions, see that there's actually a human behind it.
Yeah.
So John and I have found that that's like super helpful to add like legitimacy, which sounds terrible, but you know, I'm sure I'm not the only person that goes to a website and is like, is this a real? Is this real? Am I gonna get scammed if I pay $100 for this?
Yeah.
And so I'm wondering, maybe shops do that too.
I bet so. I bet if it's between someone that they've seen and spoken to and like have touched the stuff, you know, or someone they've never met before, like they're probably going to go for someone that they've seen, unless it's a product that they just absolutely have to have.
Yeah.
But
I think it helps.
Yeah. I can see that. So how, if you don't mind saying, even generally, how expensive is it to do like a trade show booth? Because it's like a whole learning curve for folks with like shipping your displays and your products, and like it feels like so much.
So I'd say it's not a small feat.
Yeah.
I will say if you're only doing one, like the very first one even, that is very difficult because you're starting from scratch.
Yeah.
So even outside of like, oh, I've done this before, I have the knowledge, like ordering all of the things you're going to need, like table covers or backgrounds or banners, any of that stuff, like the stuff that's kind of like evergreen that you're going to use over and over again.
Yeah.
That first time, it's a lot.
Yeah.
If someone's already doing pop-up markets, that's definitely helpful because you can kind of transfer some of that over into it. So like our table runners that we use at trade shows would be the same table runners we use at like, you know, a live event.
Yeah.
Essentially.
For sure.
So like the very first one's pretty tough, especially if you don't already have line sheets in place. Because the line sheets, creating a catalog is, depending on how much product you have, it can be really overwhelming.
Yeah.
Especially if you get hyper focused on the design of it.
Not that that's anything that we would do.
No, not at all. But I will say now, not having as much time to put into creating like an updated line sheet, I have to be okay with giving it like the 80-90% rule.
Yeah.
Versus nitpicking and like, ooh, someone's gonna say, oh, that looks silly if I put that there. I'm like, look, it is there. Let's go.
Yes. Done is better than perfect. And it's hard for people like us, but it's necessary because then nothing's gonna get done. Like,
too many other competing things now that I have to be okay with it. Which works.
Yeah. And I guess for the record, dear listeners, Libby also has a full-time job on top of her shop full-time job. So if you're like, I don't know if I can do this, and should I have 2 jobs, and I want to quit, it's like you can do it. You can do both, and it's okay to do both. And it's okay to be happy doing both. Like I feel like a lot of people are like, I have my job, I have to have my shop so I can quit it and then move on. And it's like, that's not actually the path for everyone. And that's okay.
Yeah. I mean, I am in a unique situation. Maybe it's not so unique, where I have a husband who I also work with who takes care of like day to day for sure.
Yeah.
Which is so helpful. But at this point, we need my job because of health insurance.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so it helps because we have health insurance through me, and then my husband's able to keep the business going during the day, and then I can step in at night and work on like the more creative kind of stuff. It is a lot of work. To be clear, I do not have children.
Yeah.
So that in and of itself is a second job.
Yeah.
For most people.
Truly. Truly.
So, yeah, just to be clear, my day consists of work to work. Yeah. There we go.
So how do you keep kind of the balance and the like time for yourself when you have that much on your plate?
I'm gonna be real honest. I don't.
Yeah.
I do have, highly recommend this for anyone who has space for it. I do have a hammock.
Your hammock is amazing.
Yeah, a hammock in the backyard. And also want you to know, you say it's amazing. It's just from Amazon. It was $30. But our backyard is nice and the dogs love it. And so I'll sit out there for like 30, 45 minutes and definitely helps kind of like calm myself. Yeah. Especially when I'm feeling overwhelmed during the day or whenever. Sure. It does have a mosquito net, which if you're purchasing a hammock in Texas.
Yeah, that is necessary. I will say it's the only hammock that I've ever been comfortable in because I'm not a hammock person, and you know this about me.
What's funny is it may have been because it's only like 2 inches off the ground.
I appreciated that. Okay.
So when my first one did rip, by the way, because I left out in the sun for like 3 years.
So you did not tell me about that before.
I wish someone was there to see it because I was literally sitting in it with my laptop on my lap, which I guess makes sense, laptop, right?
Yeah.
And I'm just sitting there and I lean over to get a drink. Like I sit it on the ground because I'm that close to the ground.
Yeah.
And I sit on the ground. I lean over to get my drink and I'm like about to take a drink and it just rips into shreds while I'm sitting in it and I'm laying on the ground with my laptop in my lap and my drink spilling
Oh my
and dogs
God.
running over
I
me.
was about to say, what did the dogs do?
I had cold brew in my cup and they just started drinking the cold brew and I was like, no!
No.
No. This is the last thing they need. They are high strung enough. I don't.
I was gonna say they don't need the help there.
Yeah. And then I tried covering it up with dirt so that they couldn't get to it. And then they started eating the dirt.
Oh my God.
And I was like, just guys, stop. So everyone had to go inside. Anyway, I've got a new hammock. It still has a mosquito net.
Well, your new hammock is very nice.
Yeah. This one's cuter because it's blue.
Yeah. I cannot believe those pups. Oh my God. We should talk about them in a minute too. But I'm glad that you have like your garden and your backyard is so fun and it's so nice and like necessary. Now that we've moved up here out of like our apartment, I'm sure I sound like a broken record, but like just the nature around me, having a yard and trees and little animals is so nice.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I didn't realize how
when
good
people
it would be.
give me a birdhouse for Christmas. Look, that's my face.
Yes.
And probably 10 years ago, I'd be like, why are you giving me And now I'm like, oh, a birdhouse. And then I update the person.
Yeah, as well, you should, because I would want to know. I'm gonna get you a birdhouse for Christmas.
See? Look.
And that's all there is to it. I have 2 bird feeders now outside in our little tree that's right outside of our like big bay window in the front. And it is just an absolute joy during my day to see all the little birds and to like fuss at the squirrels that climb on it and like it's so nice.
Yeah.
I like text Andy. I'm like, oh, these are the birds that I've seen so far today. I'm very cool. I'm a cool person.
Yeah. I'm definitely in my 40s now.
I know. These are the things that are exciting to us now. It's it'll happen. I feel like everyone's gonna go through that phase. I have to.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Well, I'm glad you have a space to just kind of chill because that is a lot. It's so much to handle. Full-time job on top of like being the main creative. Like you are the creative voice. Like you do all of the art for LuxCups. And I don't know, dear listeners, if you have been to her website or not, but you're prolific. Like you've got your earring club, you have so much. And I know a lot of times you kind of like design for like wholesale in mind, which I think is really smart because you have a lot of shops that will kind of order specific things or you'll think about gift shops and things like that. So I was wondering maybe you could talk to like your design kind of process and how you pick what to do. And like sometimes if you're doing something that you're like, oh, I'm just going to do this for a shop because I think it'll sell versus I'm really excited to just make this thing for me, because I feel like there's a difference.
So yeah, it is different now. But also I think that comes with time as well because now before it was like making it for like, oh, I think this is going to be a great thing to add to the line and I really like this. Don't get me wrong, that still happens, but it is now we also have feedback coming from a lot of different places. So instead of just getting feedback from people on like Instagram, like messaging us or leaving a comment, we also get feedback from buyers on Fair. We also get feedback from if we do a live event, like a pop-up market or something. That's a great place for feedback. And then we also get feedback from our rep group that we work with,
Yeah.
and they will tell us, hey, this is working out, or hey, these people have requested, something similar to this but different.
Yeah.
So we've actually been able to use them as like a resource for helping guide what we should be adding to
Hmm.
our lineup, which is very helpful because
Yeah.
they talk to stores all day, every day,
Yeah.
and they know what is working and what is not working, and they're able to give us that information, which, yeah,
That's
you don't
awesome.
necessarily get on fair because there's not a human.
Yeah. Yeah. But working with a rep group, which is another great thing to talk about, because I know a lot of people would be curious about that, and just having reps in general and kind of what that process is like. But that's really cool that they are able to. I mean, I get it because they want to make more money too. They're going to sell more to the shops if you're making stuff that like they know that the shops want. Like, do you have any specific ones that you can think of, or like just want to talk about the rep group in general because that sounds pretty
I
awesome.
mean, so we work with a rep group called McGilvery,
Mhm.
and they rep us essentially on like the west half
Mhm.
ish of the country. So we work with a lot of people in California and like Pacific Northwest, and we have webinars with them probably like 2-3 times a year,
Mhm.
and we'll discuss like what is new and has come out. But then we also use that time kind of selfishly to
Yeah.
ask for their feedback and suggestions, like, hey, is there anything like your customers keep asking for that you don't have a solution for? Like,
Mhm.
oh, is your aquarium looking for a very niche, sea slug? um,
Yeah.
which sounds niche and very specific, but it happened. That's why I'm bringing.
I love it.
So like, and then we also use that time to educate them not only about like our products, because
Mhm.
our products don't necessarily change from release to release. Like we just add and make more options for those lines. But they are surprised to hear like, oh, this design is actually a real animal. Let me show you what
Mm.
this animal is, and it applies to your aquariums that you sell.
Yeah.
So that has been a huge learning curve too.
Yeah.
Because to be honest, we asked if they would carry us 4 years ago,
Mhm.
maybe, and they politely declined, which, looking back on it, was definitely the right decision on their part. Um, and then we got recommended through a company we work with called Toy Joy, which has multiple toy locations, and the people
Yeah.
who work there are amazingly wonderful.
Yes.
Um, and they work with Anne McGilvery as one of their rep groups, and they said, "Hey, you should take a look at this line."
Yeah.
And so we were, by the word of mouth, we were able to get back in front of them, which was helpful.
Yeah.
Um,
And by that
so
time you had such a large line of products. Like I'm sure you had a lot more for them to see, and yeah.
yeah, like instead of a half fold kind of like catalog.
Look, we all start somewhere, okay?
Oh, look, no, I'm not. By all means, do the half fold. I wish I was. So I had to do that. Yeah, now there's a staple in there with multiple pages.
Yeah.
So yeah, because the actual amount and variety of products you have definitely makes a difference when they're going into a store to sell something.
Yeah.
Because they're able to point out specific items that they think are going to work for that retailer because they already know the
Yeah.
retailer. So that having a variety of items, kind of like on Etsy,
Yeah.
definitely helps with the reach for
Yeah.
sure.
Absolutely. Well, that's
Yeah.
awesome. I'm glad they've been so helpful. It seems like it's just helped you grow.
Yeah. I mean, so they also they have like what they call key accounts,
Mhm.
and they essentially have people they work with in like larger companies that
Mhm.
aren't just kind of like small mom and pop one purchase kind of things. Like we recently got into Books a Million, which is cool.
Yeah, it's
I don't know
awesome.
if you Do you have one near you?
We have one, I think it's like 45 minutes away. I need to go and see.
Yeah. I've gotten a couple like images or photos from people they're like, oh, hey, I saw your stuff. I'm like, oh,
Mhm.
thank you.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have one near you, it's hard to see it. But yeah, we probably would have only been able to get in touch with a company like that by doing a larger trade show or
Yeah.
through a rep group,
Hmm.
because they aren't necessarily, I don't know that this is true or false, but like how much time do they have to spend going through and kind of like vetting people on fair?
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's I
Yeah.
think that's fair.
See what you did.
Well, your rep groups too, though, they have booths at trade shows. So is
Oh,
that right? Or is it like a
so the,
specific kind of like showroom situation?
yeah. So they have showrooms in they have one in Atlanta,
Hmm.
which we are not currently in, since they don't rep us in that
Hmm.
vicinity of the country.
Hmm.
They have one in Dallas, which we are in. And then they have one in Las Vegas, which we are also in.
Hmm.
And essentially it's like a showroom. They give you a space. Well, they don't give it to you. You pay for it. Um, to be clear, you pay like I don't know, it's not like a monthly thing. It's like biannually, because there are major shows that happen biannually. Um, yeah, you pay for your space and you send them the product. If you are new to the game, you probably don't know to send them like a planogram. Um,
Oh, yeah.
because when we first did it, I thought I was overstepping and being like, hey, this is how you should lay my booth out. Like
Yeah.
this is how you should display my products. But
Yeah.
they absolutely, or at least this rep group, absolutely prefer,
Want
it
that.
seems, for you to do that.
It's less work for them. Yeah, just
Yeah.
tell us where to put it. Like
Yeah. So now what we do is we ask them for the measurements of our space, put it in like Figma and kind of draw it out, and
Mhm.
then send them a PDF of it and say like, "Hey, here's the general layout of what we think would work best for the space."
Yeah.
Um, and they love that. And we're able to fit a lot more in there because I'm looking at it with a different kind of like thought process rather
Yeah.
than them just trying to make it work.
Well, you have all that experience too from Blue Genie, which is
Oh,
our annual holiday pop up in Austin. That we both did it for years and years, and you only get like 8 feet, and you use that space and literally put as much product as you possibly can in that 8 feet. and
yeah.
restock and everything. And some people have beautiful booths at Blue Genie that are very minimal, but it couldn't be me.
Nope.
Like
Some,
get as much up there as possible.
yeah. Yeah. I'm like, I don't know, that show for us, we did really well at it.
Mhm.
And we were able to like increase each year, which is great.
Yeah,
And I think most of that is due to the volume and like amount of stuff we could figure out how to puzzle piece in there.
yeah.
No blank space. No,
No,
none.
no,
Um,
no.
oh, there's a hole here. Let's put a sign that explains like the benefits of this.
Yeah,
Oh, there's a hole here. Let's put another set of ornaments. Like, yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
I think that's really good experience because like as you go, as you like have your shop and grow as a shop owner, there's so many different opportunities, and then I feel like everything kind of builds on itself.
yeah. I mean, yeah, don't forget what you've already done. I just try and take the pieces from before and
Yeah,
shake them up and rearrange it and put it in this new space.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. I think that's so fun. I'm glad the rep group is going really well for you guys.
Yeah. I mean, we're in places we wouldn't have been before, like
Yeah,
Alaska.
so cool. And you guys have really leaned in on wholesale, and a lot of people are like nervous to start doing that because it is very much, it's like having two jobs with like your wholesale audience and how you interact with people and how you even like present your product is very different than retail, just selling to people in your shop or at markets and stuff like that. But I feel like it doesn't have to be hard, and I think it's so necessary. Like it's so good, especially when retail starts to wane. Like you can lean in on your wholesale too, you know?
Yeah, we figured out, I mean, especially with like views, comments, everything on like social media, like becoming harder to get, it makes sense now for us to work with humans. What?
Yes.
Work with
Yes.
humans who can then also like spread the awareness
Yeah.
of like what we offer, because getting in front of all of those different shops is very difficult if you're just leaning on like, you know, TikTok or Instagram. It's kind of
Mm.
like, oh, I hope they find me. I mean, in
Yeah.
the rough situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so much is just luck with who's on at what time, what content is actually being shown. Like there's so much out of your control there. Like I love social media and I love being on it, and like I love the customers that have stuck around for as long as they have, especially now that I'm not posting about anything shop related. But it is like you don't have any control over algorithms, but you have control over who you reach out to and who you can, I don't know, have a relationship with, you know.
Yeah.
And it really is very much like that's why I started this podcast. I want to talk to human beings. You know, you have to see the person behind the brand and behind the art. It's like we're just people. We have
Yeah.
we have pets and hammocks and
Yeah.
love
That
birds.
rip. We love birdhouses as gifts.
Yes.
Oh.
Just for reference. Just throwing that out there. So, speaking of pets, I want to hear about your puppies.
Oh.
You
I have
gotta
two
tell
dogs.
everyone. Yes.
They are both miniature schnauzers. They are both absolutely ridiculously loud. If you don't know that about the breed, welcome. I did not read that, or I did not take it seriously when I was like, I'm looking for a dog that is hypoallergenic and
Mm,
good for small apartments, because we got them when we were living in an apartment.
mm-hmm.
Um, and that popped up and it said barks a lot, and I just scrolled right past it. Um, they definitely bark a lot.
Yeah.
Not just like, oh, reactive barking, but like
Mm-hmm.
barking to communicate with you.
Mm-hmm.
That's a real thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
But they're so sweet and they have little stick legs.
oh yes, they do. When they walk, their little legs stay straight, which is so stupid cute. I'm like, come here with your stick legs.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, they're cute. I love them.
Mm-hmm.
They're what, 9 and 11?
Oh my
Yeah. So now they're like the old dogs. They have to take medication
God.
like
Mm-hmm.
twice a day.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and they have to go pee more often, which is kind of like when humans get older.
You know.
Um,
That's the truth.
So we recently installed a window doggy door, and we built a ramp for them to get out of the window down into the backyard.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. I haven't
So
seen that
young.
yet.
Yeah,
Whatever.
it's pretty cute.
You can do what you
Um,
can.
oh yeah, yeah. Well, also I was getting up like 3 times in the middle of the night, and that is
Yeah.
absolutely was wrecking my mental state.
Oh my God, yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like what I would assume is similar to having a baby wake up every 3 hours and need to get fed.
Yeah, it's you're just a zombie
Oh
the
my
next
gosh.
day. And I
Yeah.
recently found out that women need more sleep than men in general, just because of like hormone cycles and things. So we actually should be sleeping more. And I feel like traditionally we do not.
Yeah. I have I mentioned I like naps?
You are very good. I'm terrible at naps. Like if I lay down, if it's been 20 minutes, it's like I wake up feeling like a zombie still, or I'll take a nap and then it's like 4 hours later and I've completely wrecked my
Oh,
sleep for the night, and then I'm like, I'm still a mess. I don't know.
yeah. You take a nap and then it's like daylight savings, and then you go and you're like, oh my gosh, it's dark out.
Is there anything else that you wanted to kind of chat about? Favorite stuff you're
Mm,
watching, or um, just anything in general? I don't know.
am I watching anything?
Are you watching anything?
Oh, I'm really bad at watching. I mean, Great
Mm,
British Baking Show, watching that.
yes, yes.
I actually will put down like my computer or phone to
Yeah,
almost
I'm here.
focus on that.
Yeah.
Almost.
Yeah.
But outside of that, everything else is multitasking. We
Yeah.
did just put our winter release out.
Yes.
That was
So cute. Oh my
I
gosh.
deep breath. John and I, that one was a
Yeah.
struggle.
Yeah.
Um,
What
it was
made it so
actually
hard?
well, it was supposed to be the fall release.
Yeah.
But now that we also do a fair amount of wholesale, like our releases aren't just like putting stuff into Shopify or into Etsy and just like
Mm,
pushing it go, right?
mhm.
And we also have a huge backlog of like ideas, which is great, but I have a really hard time saying like, let's save this for the next time.
Mm, mhm.
Because I think it ended up being like 30 pairs of different pairs of earrings.
It's a
Like,
lot of earrings. And you make it hard on yourself, ma'am, because a
yeah,
lot of times your earrings are two different designs.
yeah, yeah, yeah. How dumb is that?
I mean, they're real cute though.
But people keep saying they like it, and then I feel obligated, and I'm like, the different, they're gonna buy them anyway. Yeah, that is a me problem for sure. Uh, so, and then when we were working with our manufacturer, one of them, for whatever reason, she just forgot to send the proof of. And then she was like, "Oh, I'll make this one as quick as possible, and I'll send it out afterwards." And I was like, "Ah!"
My
So
God.
yeah, so that kept kind of like pushing things.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that's what happens when you have like, minimal people and bandwidth
Yeah.
to like make things happen.
Yeah.
So yes, I also have to get like the line sheet done and like all the stuff, the communication with for like reps and wholesale, as well as like the shopper stuff.
Yeah.
So that definitely makes it a little bit more difficult.
Mhm.
Um, which is also why we've switched to doing like releases twice a year instead of like
Like
trickling
seasonal.
or like every 3 months, because there's no way I could create a
Mm.
line every 3 months. Like, get out of here.
But,
Yeah, it was that one was a challenge.
yeah.
Mostly because of the sheer volume that we did in this one, because they keep getting larger. I don't know
Mhm.
why there's not more people here. Uh, they just keep getting larger, and now we've started implementing barcodes, which,
Yeah.
wow, I had people were like, "Are you gonna have barcode?" Like stores when they're buying, they're like, "Oh, is
Yeah.
this come barcoded?" And I'm like, "Ooh,
Ooh. Google how to barcode.
right, yeah, no, really."
Yeah. Yeah.
Try and find information on barcoding right now. Challenge to whoever is listening. That it
It's a
is.
mess.
Oh my
It's
gosh.
a mess.
And there's like two different ways you can go with barcoding. You can go the really expensive way that allows you to sell on like Amazon,
Mhm.
and or you can go the cheap way, which is like you just purchase the barcodes, and if you try to sell on Amazon, they'll say no, thank you.
Mhm.
Um, we went the cheap way for now, at least.
Yeah.
And yeah, you have to have a spreadsheet with all of it. Make sure you don't reuse things, because then when
Mm.
someone's pulling the order, then they scan it. And anyway,
Yeah.
if everyone wants to talk more about barcodes, feel free.
Yeah.
We can do part two.
Yes. Oh my gosh. The way I'm gonna bug you for so many episodes.
Special appearance. Be like
Exactly.
a reoccurring character.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm here for it.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Yeah. So that's done. It came out
Yeah.
yesterday,
Does it feel
which,
good?
oh my gosh. I
Yeah.
slept in this morning.
Yay!
Yeah, exactly.
Amazing.
If anyone's paying attention today, well, it came out on the 15th.
Yeah.
There we go. Of
Yeah.
November,
Yeah.
which is really cutting it close for holiday.
Look, we do what we can. Like you said, it's like you are two people, and you've got some helpers too, right? You still have your helpers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but it's still, it's like I was talking to someone else. Like a lot of times people think, oh, small businesses, less than 50 people employed. And it's like, I'm literally the only human designing things. Like, like
Yeah.
this is not a 50 employee situation we're talking about. It is,
No.
two.
Yeah. Yeah. So like John
If
does
that.
all day-to-day logistics stuff. I do
Yeah.
design, and then we do have like 2 employees.
Hmm.
Um, and shout out to Kara. They do all the packaging, they do all quality control,
Yeah.
because that's a huge thing for
Yeah.
us, is making sure like the quality is super high,
Hmm.
and making sure that it looks nice when it's packaged as well. So
Yeah.
yeah, they've definitely been helpful with that. It's
That's
one less thing
awesome.
that John has to take care of, because oh my gosh,
That's a
packaging.
huge, that's a huge job. Like when I finally let go and let the manufacturers print and package my backings and let them like put it in like plastic too. No, I don't think I always had them do it in the plastic because I did like my plastic hangers for stuff. But even just like getting them to print the backing cards and put the pins on the cards, like that first order I got where they were already done, it was like, oh, it was
um
hours of work.
yes, can I tell you, okay, yeah, if you are a person who's doing like pins, earrings, small, like things like that,
Hmm.
patches, whatever, and they offer the ability to package things, I
Hmm.
thought it was going to be a significant increase
Yeah.
as far as like the cost.
Hmm.
But the whole reason I never put barcodes or really specific information on the cards was because I was purchasing thousands of cards at a
Yeah.
time, and you get a great price discount for
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
But now, since I have them do it, I just send them the file for that specific design, and they will
Hmm.
print however many they need.
Yeah. And it's perfect because they're ordering so much or they're making so much in-house that they already have the quantities to make it cheaper for them. So it makes it cheaper for you. Because that is such a problem with being a small business owner and why things are a little more expensive is because we can't order in like tens of thousands of quantities, which makes it cheaper per piece. But the manufacturers can do that. And their print quality, the ones that I use, fantastic.
The quality is higher.
Yeah.
The card that they actually like just defaulted to, like the thickness is great.
Yeah.
About the same of what I had chosen, like when I was actually doing it ourselves.
Yeah.
And like it's just it looks better,
Yeah.
which is terrible because I
Yeah.
feel like I was trying to like, oh, I want to order the highest quality, I want it to look
Hmm.
great, and I like
Yeah.
really focused on that. And then I let go and let someone else take control, and then it
Hmm.
was better.
And that's a lesson to us all. It's okay. It's okay. And
Yeah.
it's so sometimes someone might be able to do it better than we can. And that's all right. We can let that go. And it's pretty
Yeah.
standard for like most manufacturers to like it's not specific to whoever we use. Like most enamel pin, jewelry, even the hair clip place that I use, like they would put tags on all of my stuff too. And I was like, yes, please. Like
Yeah.
it was, yeah, so that's pretty standard. In case someone's like, I don't know if my manufacturer do that, like they will.
They probably do. Yeah.
I love it.
That was great. That was a great learning. I will say though, when I'm sending files through for like, a new release,
Mm-hmm.
I then have to set up cards for everything,
Yeah.
which makes it take even longer.
Yeah.
And I'm so hesitant to be like, just use this one. It's the generic one,
Yeah.
without like a barcode and the name and the SKU on the back. And
Mm-hmm.
Dawn has talked me out of that because the like 30, 45 minutes that it takes me to set up a card saves them in packaging and having to
Yeah.
like apply a barcode manually, like hours,
Yeah.
like ongoing
Yeah.
hours.
Plus the
So,
supplies to print any barcodes that you would need to print. Like that's just not even a factor then too.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's good.
So a little extra work up front for me saves us hours in payroll.
Yeah.
I guess it evens out.
Yeah, that's the balance because I always had such a hard time. Like I'd have an idea and I'd want it done quickly and get it out. And a lot of times it was really hard for me to slow down and actually take the time and like get out the real camera, take the real photos, like don't just do it with your phone, and it always looked better. And in the long run, it did better. But sometimes I was just too impatient, or I just went too close to the deadline. I was like, well, now I do have to cut corners. Oops.
Yes. Yeah. I've gotten way faster at editing. Way faster.
Yeah, it's a lot. I'm so glad the release is out and
Yes.
it's done and you can sleep in. You should do something to celebrate for sure.
I mean, we usually go on Saturdays, we go to dinner together. So
Aww,
he's at a pickleball tournament right now. So
nice.
he'll be hungry when he's done.
That'll be so fun.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I love
Oh,
it.
I do something to relax myself. I play pickleball now.
Yeah. You like pickleball? I feel
Just
like
like the
my,
rest of all America.
yeah. At least people our age, I feel like there's a lot of people our age playing pickleball now.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And since I work so much, it's kind of like a built-in kind of social group, which is
Yeah.
nice because I don't really talk to them the rest of the week, but when I see them, I'm like, hey.
Yeah.
So that has been nice.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. I'm so
Yeah.
glad. You're the best ever. And I love you so
No,
much.
you.
No,
I'm
you.
actually I was wondering how long it would take before you like picked up something new to like focus your efforts on because I was like, there's no way I'm just gonna stay doing her thing and taking Emmett to school. There's no way that that's gonna be it. Let's
You.
see how long it takes.
It took not quite a year and a half.
But that's longer than I thought, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There were a few things I wanted to do, but I don't know, I kept getting like it turns out being a stay-at-home mom, I hadn't done it for a long time. And it's a lot of work. And I knew
Yeah.
it was a lot of work. But like just keeping up a house in general, I'm like, how did I do this while I had a job too?
I mean, maybe you gave it that 80-90%.
Yeah. Yeah, right. I'm sure that's what it was.
And it's totally okay too. Also, I've already said this. I don't have
Mhm.
kids, so I don't know. But like the homework changes and the amount of
Yeah.
activities changes
Yes.
as they get older. So
Yeah.
you have to devote more time and effort to that.
That
Whereas like
is
when they're, a toddler, like they miss their playtime. Okay, no big deal.
yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't
Now there is homework now and there's a lot more to do and it's rough. It's rough. So big ups to all the stay-at-home moms. I hate when people are like, well, like when they would ask me, like, "Oh, what do you do?" And I'm like, "Oh, I just stay at home." And it's like, there's no just. Like, take that out of there.
know.
I'm a stay-at-home
Yeah.
mom. That is a full-time job.
Yeah. For real.
but, but yeah, You're right. I was feeling it. I had to do something.
Getting antsy.
I really was. I was getting very antsy. And like the community is very different here, which
Mm.
is fine. And it's probably just me not leaving my house. But I miss my friends. I don't want to talk
Oh
to
my
people.
gosh. Look, you are probably now experiencing what I experienced like 2 years ago when we moved out of Austin, and now we live in New Braunfels.
Yeah.
Because we can afford a house here.
Hmm.
Um, but
True.
like the shock of picking, it's only 30 minutes away or
Yeah.
45 minutes. It's not that far.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, surely that's not going to make that big of a difference, right? Oh my gosh. Can I tell you?
Yeah.
It's not like when you're in high school or college, you see your friends at like school or work or,
Hmm.
wherever. And you pick it up and you move and you're in your like late 30s, early 40s, and you're trying to create friends again.
Yeah. It's
Like,
hard. It's hard out here.
oh my gosh.
That's what
So
I'm
hard.
like, let me just talk to my friends on the internet and I don't have to leave my house.
Yeah. Can I tell you? There's something called long walks.
Ooh, what is
And
this?
look, I started Googling stuff because I was like, I have to
Yeah.
have some type of like real person.
Yeah.
Um, like, how do I find people that are similar to me in like a really conservative town?
Yeah.
And I posted on Reddit, like, hey, does anyone live in New Braunfels? Like, I was trying to find like new friends. There's something
Yeah.
called Long Walks, and it's like, I think it's only in Texas right now. It
Mm.
could be different. I haven't used it in a while because it didn't really work out for me. But like, you can answer questions like no, like regular questions, and other people in your area will too. You can
Mhm.
kind of see like where things like interact and like overlap.
Mm. Yeah.
So you can potentially make friends with people with similar kind of outlook on life.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, pickleball is where it
Yeah. Look, whatever works.
yeah,
Kudos to you for like going out there and like actually like leaving the house and interacting with strangers and like it's hard.
John drugged me pretty much. So can't say that it was all on my own, but it works.
Yeah.
And then I found my neighbor. My neighbor is similar age, and she's totally different than me, but
Yeah.
yeah,
That's
that's
awesome.
cool.
Yeah.
We'll eat lunch like
All my
yeah,
neighbors are like grandparents. I love them.
everyone else's.
I love them. There's everyone is so much older than us, and I'm just like they like to bake.
Yeah,
It's pretty
yeah.
great.
Oh, I mean, to be fair, the neighborhood in general is much quieter than where we live because most of the people are older,
Yeah.
which I'm absolutely in favor of.
Love it. Love it.
And she wants to talk about plants.
Perfection.
She's always excited when we're planting something new. She's
I
like, "Ooh,
love
what are
that.
you doing?" I'm like, "Oh, you're excited?
I
Okay."
love it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I find out that my interests now seem to overlap with like the over 60 crowd and
Yes.
I'm into it. I'm into it.
Look, also, I'm not as caught up as like, "Oh, what are people going to think about this?"
Yeah.
Like, which I didn't know was really like a thing in my brain in my 30s. And now
Yeah.
it's weird because like 40, 41, like it's kind of like shifting to like, just do your thing. Who cares?
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like each decade, like in my 30s, I gave, less flips. And now that I'm 40, it's like truly who cares? I bet when we turn 50, it's going to be even better.
Oh man, it'll be so good.
It's going to be
It'll
great.
be so good. I'm going to be walking around with like my hair all crazy and because I don't know, in my 20s, I was like, I am not going to the store without makeup on.
Yes. What was that? I'm not even wearing eye makeup right now. I'm
See?
on
Look,
camera.
I mean, I did
I
put a
mean,
little effort in
you look
today. So
you do look really cute.
anyone looking at me right now, please know this is effort, okay? Mm.
Yeah, my
Yeah.
effort is minimal at this juncture.
but also you do more of these, so this is more status quo for you. Whereas for
Oh,
me, I'm like, oh, special character announcement. Gotta wait.
I love it.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh. You're the
that's good.
best. I cannot thank you enough for being on my podcast.
Yeah, let me know when we need to do a regroup, a
Yes,
part two.
100%.
If people have special requests, like what the
Yeah,
heck do you do when
yeah.
I
We'll
don't know?
just have a barcode episode.
Yeah, what do you, well, yeah, what's with barcodes?
Yeah.
And I will tell you what I know, and you can fill in the blanks after that because obviously I'm also learning.
And things change all the time. It's wild because, like, I haven't had a shop in like a year and a half. It was like May 2023 when I closed down. And
Yeah,
Shopify has like updated so much stuff, and like Fair has already changed. And I'm like, I need someone to keep me in the know. What is going on? I'm like, I had like what 17 years of experience, and now I'm like, wait, what's going on?
yeah, yeah, exactly. It
It's
always
wild.
changes.
Yeah.
You can't, yeah. You can only take naps.
Yeah. The moral of this episode is go take a nap
Yeah,
in
treat
a
yourself.
hammock. In a hammock
Oh
if you can.
look, noise canceling earbuds in a
Yeah.
hammock when the weather is nice with a mosquito net and you get a breeze and it's
Oh,
just a little sunny but the sun's not on you. I know I'm getting very granular.
it sounds like
That's
heaven. Yeah.
and if you have a dog that likes to
Mhm.
snuggle, I have one that likes to snuggle.
Mhm.
And the dog is in the hammock on you like a little weighted blanket.
Perfection.
There you go.
I
That's
love it.
my ideal state.
Yes. This is why I love you. That and many, many other reasons. Okay, thank you so much for coming.
You're so welcome. Thanks for the invite.
Absolutely. All right, I will talk to you later, friend.
Goodbye.
Bye. Thank you so much for listening to my very first interview on my podcast. You are the best for being here. Be sure to check out Libby at LuxCups.com. That's LuxCups.com. Or LuxCups on Instagram. It's just at LuxCups. Give her a follow. She's got an amazing winter lineup that we talked about that's out. And you should at least get some dino earrings. I mean, they're perfect. What are you going to do? So yeah, thank you for listening. If you have a second, if you could give me a little rate and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, I would really appreciate it. I know that's supposed to help. If you're listening on YouTube, a little thumbs up, a subscribe would help there too. I don't know what to do on all of the other platforms because that's all I use. But be sure to check me out at the Becky Helms on Instagram. And yeah, thank you for listening, and I'll see you next week.